At West Bloomfield High School, a unique class born from the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic is making a lasting impact on student mental health. And that is the positive psychology class created by veteran teacher Jennifer Sepetys, who is joining us right now on the Splash Live this morning. Jennifer, good morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Love to get into this topic and really interested in hearing on how a great class like this came to be. So what was the true inspiration behind putting something like this together?
So it actually happened because of COVID. It was during COVID, I started to send out surveys to all of my students to check in with them to see how are they feeling physically, how are they feeling emotionally. And I was overwhelmed by the response and what they were sharing. And I thought, wow, they are going through a lot. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of anxiety, and they were in need of a lot of support. At the same time, I happened to go back to school myself at Oakland University, and I started in an educational leadership program to work on a PhD. So at the same time as students were getting stressed, my focus 100% became on studying student mental health. And I started looking for programs, evidence-based programs, and things that I could do or that our district could do or what other schools were doing across the country and throughout the world to help support students. So that's how things initially started. And in doing all of this research, I eventually came into discovering positive psychology, which is currently taught at a lot of universities and colleges across the country.
Well, it's great that you are applying a lot of what you've been learning to these kids. And how important is it for you to be checking in with these kids so often and to making sure you have that relationship that they can trust you and that they can talk to you about some of these things?
It is incredibly important. The first unit we discussed, and it's happening right now, and this is actually unrelated to positive psychology, but it's about teen stress. So students talk about and write about their stressors and the things that they are going through. I would say the biggest one is academic stress, and then it's family stress. And students learn that they are not alone, that so many of their classmates are going through very similar things. Some students are going through some really heavy trauma and depression, but I'm helping them learn evidence-based strategies that they can use to help support their well-being and also things that they can do in case they are really struggling with anxiety and depression, and they need some extra support that maybe a counselor or a therapist or school social workers or psychologists would need to provide.
It's one of those important things that I think everyone needs to remember, no matter what age you are, is that you never truly know what somebody is going through. You could see somebody walking down the halls of a school or walking down the street outside. You never know what they're dealing with, what their story is, and if they're dealing with something really, really tragic right now. And I want to ask, what does this class help to provide some of these students who might be going through a bit of a tougher time right now?
It's things that they can do to help themselves. And they learn that really happiness takes work. It doesn't just automatically come to each and every one of us. And we are not happy every single day. We are human beings, and there are ebbs and flows throughout life. So students are learning things that can help bring meaning and purpose and to their lives, and how they can get into what we call in psychology the flow state, where they're really engaged. They're going to learn about the benefit of forming positive relationships. So they are really learning evidence-based strategies, things that they can do right now to make themselves feel better, and strategies that they can use in the future. Because they could be totally fine right now, but then next week, they could end up really needing some extra support.
That's right. It's an important process. And like you said, it's not going to just be fixed within the matter of a few hours. It takes time to get back to a positive mindset, and it's great that you're working to help these kids with that. Could you go into detail a little bit more on some of the methods that you have in this class?
Sure. So one of the key components is building gratitude. And that may seem so simple when we think of, oh, you want to be grateful, but it takes practice, and we do exercises in practicing gratitude. So evidence shows that writing in a gratitude journal or really thinking about the good things going on in your life will help. So you want to start thinking about not what is why my life is so terrible and oh, this person said this to me, or I did really bad on a test. You want to think about what are three good things? What is one good thing maybe that happened to me this morning? It could be as simple as I hit every green light as I was driving to work. Or it could be the copier worked this morning. I'm so happy. That was a good thing. Because you start to change your brain. The chemistry in your brain starts to change. And instead of constantly dwelling on the negative, you're able to shift and start to think about, okay, yes, this happened, but I also have these good things going on. And a lot of students are not used to really thinking about that. So we practice it every day. And at first it might seem strange, but they tend to notice over 20 weeks, because again, the class is 20 weeks, that is helpful. Another thing that we do in class is we practice mindfulness and meditation. And there's a lot of things online that people can learn about meditation and practice, but it's really closing your eyes and being still. We focus on at least 5 minutes every morning, where you're just being able to sit in silence. And it's unbelievable how little time we give to ourselves to do that throughout the day, and how just 5 minutes of quiet, because we're all so flooded with social media or people that need something or things we're worried about. But just to close your eyes for 5 minutes without the intention of falling asleep and just to be still as best you can really help reset and recharge for the day.
I can imagine that. I've meditated a few times here and there, and it certainly does help, especially when you're dealing with a really stressful day. For those just joining us right now, we have social studies teacher with West Bloomfield High School, Jennifer Sepetys, joining us right now to talk about the positive psychology class that's currently going on with West Bloomfield High School. And Jennifer, you've talked a little bit about what you've been providing for these students. What have these students had to say to you in regards to the things that they've taken away from this class?
Students at the end, they fill out a survey so I can know what worked for them and what they feel like they're going to use in the future. And some students have written back to me who have completed the course, who graduated, and they have found that the mindfulness has been helpful. Also practicing gratitude. Again, those are the two big things. And I think the breathing techniques, learning how to, there's different things that we do to breathe with our hands and gestures, and just focusing on our breath, that can help them maybe before a big test, before they're going in for a job interview, or it could be public speaking, anything that kind of gives them anxiety. Some of my athletes have also reached back out, who are currently at a college level playing football, and have said that they are using mindful visualization before going out for a game. Just closing their eyes and being able to focus and having that quiet is something a lot of college teams are now doing with their own players. And they were able to learn it here first from the class.
Well, it's great to hear about all these amazing things that these students are taking away. We are running short on time, Jennifer, so I got one more very quick question for you.
Sure.
Do you think that this is going to open the door for more classes like this in the future?
I 100% hope so. I think that this class and these strategies could be taught to everybody, elementary school, preschool. because we're building as time goes, building on these strategies, and without practicing, they're not going to work. So it's really like exercise for your brain, and that is very, very important for building wellness and well-being in everybody.
Well, it's great that you are helping to provide these things for these students. Jennifer, thank you so much for your time here on The Splash today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.